Welcome, students of grade 10. We have come to another lesson on principles of business. Our focus for this week is industries as well, but today we will be more focused on the linkage industry. Our lesson objectives are to identify what is a linkage industry, to list the types of linkages, and to identify the advantages and disadvantages of linkages. Let us begin. What is a linkage industry? A linkage industry is an industry which is associated or connected to other industries in such a way that the existence of one is dependent on the other, or it enhances the other's production process. These industries are also referred to as spin-off and screwdriver industries. The effects of linkage may be direct, that is, effects on the extractives sector, or indirect, that is, effects on affiliated sectors, or spillover, which is effects beyond the extractive sector. Linkages can be defined in relation to the inputs and outputs of extractive sector operations, or in terms of the relations between the different actors of the value chain. Types of linkages. On the screen is a diagram of the various types of linkages. These are the economic linkage, which is directly linked to the fiscal linkages, the production linkages, side stream linkages, horizontal linkages, and the consumption linkages, which has the spill-off from production and side stream linkages as backward linkages and infrastructure linkages, and for the spill-off to forward linkages and linkages to agriculture, which eventually leads to technology and knowledge linkages. Let us address indirect a few of these linkages. Fiscal linkages. Fiscal linkages occur when revenues generated by extractive sectors' activity in the form of corporate or income taxes and royalties are used in other non-commodity sectors. In most jurisdictions, the state is the recipient of such revenues, and revenues are often used for meeting budgetary needs. However, they can also be used to promote a diversification of the economy. Production linkages, also referred to as backward or upstream linkages. Backward linkages refer to inputs to the oil, gas, and mining projects from the national economy, which can include local community-focused procurement, such as security, clothing, and food supplies, and high value-added items, such as capital machinery and equipment. Backward linkages encompasses contracting, supplier contracts, input services collaborations, and hence can create employment and offer potential for enhancing domestic manufacturing capacity. The production linkages, also referred as forward or downstream linkages. Forward linkages are created by adding value to the commodities extracted by the industry by producing and refining in order to locally produce finished goods instead of exporting them in their raw state. The economic viability of forward linkages varies from commodity to commodity. For instance, in general, in gold processing to semi-pure door bars is feasible near the mining facilities, whereas these are then sold and transported for further refining. Gold is high value, low volume, and traded on a terminal market. Therefore, the actual refining of gold may be more economical away from the mine. Question. Backward linkage refers to an already developed company giving aid to another business by supplying them with goods and services. Forward linkage refers to a business having to forward or send their unfinished product to another company for further processing. Are these statements true or false? If you indicated true, that is correct. Here is why. A bakery that bakes pastries will depend on another company for flour. That is considered a backward linkage. Lumber from Guyana being sent to Suriname for processing by their plywood manufacturing company is considered a forward linkage. The side stream linkages. Side stream linkages involve economic links created to support infrastructure such as power, logistic, communications, and water. Agriculture and skills and technology development covered in more details below. Side stream linkages, the infrastructure, or spatial linkage. Infrastructure linkage refer to the development of roads, railways, water, ports, communication, and power grids as a result of the extractive sector activity, thus helping to create a local industry because they promote the shared use of infrastructure for development. Infrastructure development can create multipliers effects and open up opportunities in other sectors, for example, agriculture and tourism. Many host governments struggling with sourcing finance for the development of infrastructure projects could see benefit in making the grant of natural resource exploitation rights or contracts conditional upon investment in infrastructure. Linkage to agriculture. Infrastructure linkages can open up opportunities in the agricultural sector. Traditionally, the extractive sectors, especially mining, have a predominantly adverse impact on land, water, people's livelihood, and agriculture. However, the trend today is to acknowledge that mining and agriculture can work together. Mining companies are increasingly focused on the need to secure and maintain their social license to operate. The concern over linkages to agriculture is less visible in the petroleum sector, as often oil and gas extraction activities takes place offshore. Hence, agriculture activities are often not adversely impacted by exploration and extraction operations. Technology and knowledge linkages. This refers to technology and knowledge transfer from the extractive value chain. Technology linkages may include the transfer of non-sector specific information technology, finance, civil engineering skills, or sector-specific skills such as petroleum engineering. Horizontal linkage enable the adaptability of skills gained in the extractive sector to other sectors such as construction and agriculture. However, it is the technology and knowledge linkages that develop capabilities to do so. In the petroleum sector, national oil companies typically are set up to absorb technology and know-how from foreign investors to the public sector, then over time turned into productive human and capital assets. The horizontal or lateral linkages. Horizontal linkages refer to skills developed in the extractive sector being transferred to other sectors. This includes cooperation between different companies in the same industry based on licensing, technology, joint buying, and venture agreements. Example, knowledge in process control, construction equipment, and material handling. Bulky commodities and liquefied natural gas, such as LNG, for instance, can generate civil engineering skills, which may transfer to the sectors. These usually emerge in the advanced stages of industrial development. The ability to adopt capabilities is also very important for horizontal linkages to be realized. Consumption linkages. Consumption linkages refers to increased spending because of the rise in wages, labor income that is, and profits from the commodities sector, capital income to be more specific. These spending effects can fuel structural change at the local level as income is reinvested in the domestic economy. The effects of consumption linkages is reduced where earnings are lower, for example, on skilled or skilled labor, where earnings are spent outside the region, or where multinational profits are expatriated to home jurisdictions for shareholder payments. The sectors that tend to benefit most from consumption linkages are hospitality, local transport, construction sector materials, perishable agriculture products, and local services. Question. When the demands on an industry lead to the establishment of other industries to provide for the needs of this industry, it is known as forward linkage or backward linkage. Which of the two? If you said backward linkage, that is correct. Let me explain. A producer of honey may find it necessary to print and distribute business cards and post billboards around the city to clear beehives to supply his needs for honey rather than depend on other bee catchers to supply him with all his needs for honeycombs. The producer of honey has made a backward link for his raw materials. Linkage as a tool for sustainable development. Economic linkages in the extractives sector, especially forward linkages, may result in over-adoption in downstream segments, which means that businesses created and linked to the oil, gas, and mining production may collapse after resource exhaustion or because of commodity price volatility. Whilst linkage may not therefore come across as an effective tool for sustainable development, there are studies which provide a perspective for how the oil and gas industry can most effectively support the achievement of the UN Sustainable Development Goals and the 2030 Agenda. In 2015, 17 Sustainable Development Goals were adopted by world leaders to replace the Millennium Development Goals. Goals target economic, social, and environmental areas of development. Example, the Sustainable Development Goal 9 aims to promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization and foster innovation. Industrialization could be a key enabler of economic diversification if strong forward and backward linkages are established. The UN articulates that responsible governance, high-level involvement of civil society in the extractive sector, and sufficient institutional capacity can transform the sector revenues into sustainable economic growth in resource-rich countries and contribute to building sustainable development linkages. We have come to the end of today's lesson. Here is your lesson exercise for today. You are the owner of a small manufacturing company. Your company plants its own fruits and vegetables and have been producing fruit juices and energy shakes for distribution in plastic bottles. You've learned that you can create a linkage that will increase your revenues if you tin your produce. A. Outline 3 opportunities and benefits for developing linkage industries. B. In no more than 50 words each, explain any one opportunity and benefit listed at A. My name is Ms. Nisha Bamfield, and we have come to the end of our lesson on linkage industries. Thank you for having me.